may go. So you don't have to look no further. I saw everybody can know. It was spirit in child and mother. So can it be so? Let me hear you. Yes, listen. Grandpa say when I dead, bury me close. Mommy say Santi Manite. So can sing out he body and kill. I take the come fantastic Friday. Why mommy don't something skin and pass? So can you tell him stick and dirty today? Say the boys are devil of the party. In almost the very same way. Mommy love to be up in the tent while she's on jamming on radio. Mommy prefer a sit-down event. The sun lover drop on the road. Even though things about them might differ, there's one thing everybody knows. If you're looking deep down inside, so guys, it's all of talent. Let me hear you. Guys, I tell a lie. Children come back to school. Look, so God grow up to be a big man. Now, almost 50 years old. The grandchildren set out and plan to be famous like him around the world. Looking back at all his years, on the things that he made us do. The grands have no doubts and no fears. They have the whole world doing it. Moving to the left, moving to the right. Hey, balance the whole night. Feeling hot was fight. People laying in share the light. From tying the head with blood like Baptist. To jumping and waving flag to one. So guys, that's the ritual bacchanal. Just like Calypso. So let me hear you. Calypso is soca, and soca is Calypso. Sister Chucky and brother Raga. Cousin Tessa from Bellingo. So you don't have to look no further. I saw everybody that know. If you listen.
Yes, indeed, Calypso. Calypso, yes, indeed, Calypso is soca, and soca is Calypso. Marshall Montano, he did it once again, different genre, and an area that we have not grown accustomed to him competing, but clearly, wherever he goes, very talented, he has been able to conquer. Let's take a little view.
Everybody know this kind is a metaphor, but be aware also. I too was born 1974. He was for me a Calypso singer, but I couldn't write songs like Sparrow. Since then I write a lot of hit soca, and now I write a hit Calypso. Let me let go. Calypso is soca, soca is Calypso. Sister Chucky and brother Raga, but right here in Chile. So you're too hard to look no further. I come in and say to Toko. If you're talking soca or Calypso, you will hear Marshall Montano. Everybody say, look.
Soca is Calypso, soca is definitely Calypso. So I music soca. The music plays soca.
What did the soca music know? Everybody know. Calypso is soca. Everybody know. Say, soca is Calypso. Calypso. What do you know? Say. One. What do you know?
Yes, indeed, of course, I think we have to give some kind of tribute to of course, our culture. And of course, it is, of course, Monday night, and of course the Merry Monarch has not completely crossed the stage. The Merry Monarch has not yet completely crossed the stage, but indeed tomorrow. But of course, as I said, Wednesday, reality of Trinidad and Tobago. But I thought it was important, of course, just to give an insight as to what transpired today. But tomorrow, of course, I will give a comprehensive highlights of what transpired between today and, of course, tomorrow, as we, of course, look towards Wednesday and back to reality in Trinidad and Tobago. And, of course, tonight is no exception. In the midst of all of the fun and, of course, festivity, we must, of course, nestle our consciousness in what? In reality. And the reality is that we are in a desperate situation, and therefore the ground report as well as the corridor transformation will always be at that level to make certain that you do not in any way be lured by, of course, deception, evil, wickedness, and at the same time lured into a state of complacency that will, of course, jeopardize Trinidad and Tobago, the population, the future, and indeed, of course, those persons who are looking forward to a Trinidad and Tobago, that, of course, they can prosper in, and that they can, of course, live in, and, of course, the quality of life and standard of living should be one that all of us aspire to. Yes, indeed, this is, yes, the Monday night, but Carnival Monday night edition of the corridor transformation. And indeed, of course, you know, we'd like to do things in style, but before we do all of that, let's, of course, go and, of course, introduce ourselves appropriately, because we have visitors in our midst, and we want to let them know that here is a place to be, even if you are abroad, because we'll reach you there through YouTube and, of course, Facebook. Give your comments, share, and, of course, we will be very, very delighted to be, of course, a part and parcel of your take in terms of preference for live broadcast on a nightly basis right here, except on a Friday in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, indeed. Welcome.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley warns that there could be job losses in the public service. He blames former Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar for being reckless to give public servants a pay increase of 14% in 2015. At the PNM's public meeting in Mount Dawn, the Prime Minister recalled 2015 when energy prices were at an all-time low. The country only earned $2 billion from energy revenues. But in an attempt to win votes, Persad-Bissessar gave public servants a 14% increase. The Prime Minister said it was now left up to the PNM government to honor that contract.
We paid, what, $3 billion this year in back pay? And as we're looking towards 2017, he tells me we owe $3.5 to $4 billion more in back pay. And that's a contract between the government and its workers. It's a contract. And the people who are
of course, I thought it was important, of course,
in that way to get his back pay.
I thought it was important, of course, to revisit that situation because there's a pattern of behavior that started since the beginning, the commencement, the genesis of this administration and this particular Prime Minister. You see, as we have visitors here, we need, of course, to let them know the tragedy that is government and that is purporting to be government, and more specifically Prime Minister. Yesterday, of course, we looked at the whole factor that 5 days after a disaster that was brewing in Tobago, everybody else knows. No statement from the government except, of course, what I consider to be their insignificance. The Prime Minister is from Tobago. I suppose that is why they kick him out of Tobago politically. That is why, because he has no concern in his DNA. He's a wicked man. And so he goes there 5 days afterwards and then tells us it's a crisis, something that we already knew. But of course, we knew in a next situation where he created, of course, the destruction of the sea bridge, and then go and tell them it is not a crisis for you because it has not reached national level. Well, today, when he went, of course, to Tobago, he now says it's a national crisis. I don't see, if it is that his criteria then, when he said that for Tobagonians that it was not a national crisis, there is no difference between the oil spill today that, of course, is focusing on a part of Tobago and not at all Trinidad is affected. And then he demonstrates his inconsistency and his, of course, square peg and wrong hole logic and his situational, ethical situation. Extremely immoral. Because when he's told Tobagonians that the sea bridge crisis that he created and the destruction even to today and the determination of businesses and entrepreneurs reeling from, of course, that created, orchestrated and choreographed, most dastard and, of course, inimical to Tobago's and Tobago's economy in particular, where he came from. But you should not be surprised. That is a man who must have understood that Tobago needed a hospital. And as Minister of Planning, he orchestrated the stealing of material from that particular project to his project in Landate. Totally oblivious and inconsiderate of the people that he grew up with. And don't tell me I'm talking in vain or in any way I'm talking ad hominem or I am not nestled in facts. Well, the ensuing commission of inquiry that was launched by Patrick Manning, obviously, to get rid of him at that point in time because he was proven to be, of course, a bane, a tick in his rear, in Manning's rear. So he wanted to get rid of him because he was asking for a $5 million that could not have been accounted for in one of the projects in the East. But the Commission of Inquiry said that Dr. Rowley did not use sufficient discretion. What do you think that means? That is a nice word to say that what he was accused of actually occurred. Actually occurred. But they have to put it diplomatically. We are getting, of course, remember our phone delay, so just hold on. Just hold on the line. Just hold on, we have a little delay, but go ahead, caller. Caller, go ahead. Good night. Listen, good night. All right, as I've said last night, and I'm saying again tonight, when you get in, don't believe that I am not hearing, but there's a bit of delay. All right, there's a bit of delay, so you have to, of course, hold on. Let's go again. Yeah, so just hold on, just hold on. We're coming, we're coming. Hold on, we're coming, we're getting there. All right, good. Thank you very much for holding on. We have a bit of delay in the system here tonight. But go ahead, caller. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Pleasant good night to you, Lennox Smith. I didn't know when the call get cut off, so I also call back.
Oh, I see.
That,
Oh,
there's a long delay, Hardy, because the phone is not ringing.
Yeah, boy. Yeah. So people just just bear until after
What's
the
wrong,
carnival.
Lennox? I want to find out something.
Go ahead.
I want to find out something, Lennox. The amount of people I see come up for Carnival today, right? What is the purpose of celebrating Carnival? People coming out to celebrate Carnival. What is the purpose in doing that?
Chief, stress release.
I want to know because
culture.
you see.
Stress relief and culture, but it's more a balancing act in the present circumstance. Yeah. Yeah, and culture, yeah.
So when things going up in the country and government institutions ain't working properly, that is now a concern. Well, Lennox, I want to put this out there. Kingsley post a video on Facebook today.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Port of Spain, where they have, I don't know if it's a costume with a demon kneeling down or stooping down. And the young ladies say, these people didn't even realize what happened in Brazil for the carnival and what happened after the carnival, what happened. And natural disaster take these people in because they have all kind of demonic thing where they showing where they where they use by the mocking God. I just hope that Trinidad and Tobago prepare for what is coming down the pipeline with that demon head thing I see posing in Port of Spain. Because all I see in the even on the literature and all to this jab thing, I never seen a positive thing where our countries concerned terms are going for as a nation. Because yes, they're taking part in carnival and having a good time. But the end result of this thing is not in the best interest of the country. It is not, because we don't celebrate success. We don't only celebrate when something wrong. We want to ease we brain. Keep a little party, keep a little fun, have food, have drinks, music, and the problem still there. Trinidad and Tobago people don't really confront real problems to get real solution. But to have a good time, to feed the flesh, that is all I see in what these people and them do. All they do, they just feed in the flesh, and they just fuel and sin in the country. Because people turn their back away from God. If all they want God to heal it, or they have to call upon God for the land to get healed. Right now, it's doing that blood running the streets. And if you notice during the course of the day, they had a lot of fights and things, and we involved in the fights. African people again. Most of the fights you see break out during the course of the day is African people. So I don't know what it is you really celebrating with Carnival is concerned, because we're not going for another country. What's Grenada? Grenada celebrated their 50th anniversary, and if people them use June to get out the fireworks. If it's your spectacular this thing, look, my pulse are raised when I see that. Little Grenada. Lennox, locked on and listening. Pleasant good night.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, of course. And those admonition and those concerns are not only admirable, but must be taken note of. Yesterday, of course, before today, last night, in fact, I did mention that people should be cautious. I did mention, in other words, what you just said, but of course, be careful, 9 months after, and promiscuous sex and reckless behavior could create, of course, not just 9 months after a birth, but there could also be sexually transmitted diseases, in addition, of course, to the possibility of COVID. I am not being alarmist, but I believe that it is important that people, out of an abundance of caution, to be circumspect and to be meticulous in your longevity on this earth. Because I'm sure all of us would have had some degree of responsibility that will, of course, not permit a sudden departure to leave a good impression, or to, of course, especially when you have not achieved the objective that you set out in life. So be careful. Tomorrow is another crowded. There will be more alcohol and revelry. But you must, out of an abundance of caution, because Wednesday will come. It is as constant as the northern star and inevitable as day gives way to night, and vice versa. Just as how you wouldn't get on Wednesday Rowley calling on elections, even though we may hope. What we know for sure, he must call elections in 2025. That's what we know for sure. That's a certainty. And therefore we must be careful. And we must prepare ourselves for all the responsibilities, and do not, for one moment of revelry, one fleeting moment of reckless behavior, may cause a life, the rest of your life, to be in detriment. As I said, let's go straight to the lines. It's take a little time, but we will get there. We'll get there. Yes, indeed. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Pleasant night, Lennox, and everybody on the chat. Lennox, I hope that we have better reception tonight.
I hope so too.
Because although you were hearing me good, the people on the outside were not hearing me properly. I'll try to do better tonight.
Okay, good.
Or should I say, I hope we do better tonight.
Yes, yes, yes. I hope so too, because I'm hearing you loud and clear.
You're hearing me good, right?
Yeah, without any static, yes.
Right. But yeah, but the people on the outside last night were not getting a clear reception at all.
Yeah,
anyway,
that, yes.
Lennox, your caller there asked, what is the purpose of carnival? Now, carnival is a departure of the flesh. It ends. It starts the Lenten season for the Christians, right? I tried to explain it as best as I could. Carnival was never meant to be this lewd, nasty behavior that we are seeing. And last night you spoke, you warned the young ladies and them since Sunday night, well, Saturday night you've been warning them about their lewd behavior. Lennox, lewd behavior was not singular to the streets. It's all over. And until women don't respect themselves, I don't know if they feel they do it for laughs, for likes, for what. Until they don't respect themselves, nobody's going to respect them. You can stop me anytime, Lennox, and correct me.
No, you go ahead. I am in full agreement.
Unless they don't change their behavior, I don't know why I don't know why some people feel, not some people, that some women feel that they have to behave in that manner for people to like them. And then come Ashman and say, how you showing your face? We saw a video, Lennox, up on a scaffolding. If there's that It makes you, well, I'm not feeling shame, right? Because I know in all my years I've never displayed any behavior. So I grew up in a decent family. You couldn't behave like that around my parents. And when you grow up with values, you go to your grave with values. Lennox, they are taking this carnival into nastiness. As I said, it was never meant to be like that. I'm sure you did. You grew up in Harold Saldana and all these masqueraders and
Yes,
them.
yes.
John Humphrey, the beautiful master they used to play.
Yeah, Bailey. Bailey, remember Bailey?
You understand? Well covered. George Bailey and all of them, yes. Decent mass. My brothers, my husband used to play with Neville Lamming.
All right.
Those were decent mass. You never get this kind of behavior. Why does it they feel now? Excuse me, Lennox. Why does it they feel now? You don't get to warm the throat. That they have to behave like that for people to like them. No. Lennox, Keith Rowley made a comment. Are we still
Yes,
listening, Lennox?
Yeah, we are still here. Go ahead, we are listening to you attentively.
Right. Okay. Right. Keith Rowley made a statement some time ago that he's not going to visit your family. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear, loud and clear.
Oh, shit.
Loud and clear.
All right. He made a statement some time ago. He didn't go to visit the victims for follow-ups. What he went to Tobago to do. And while we are on the subject of Tobago, I find it is a disgrace. It is ignorant, it is disgusting to tell the people of Tobago that it is good for them, for what it's happened. Let us look at the economy was damaged this weekend since the day of that spill. And today we can't get answers. But you know everybody have the answers, right?
Oh, yes.
The real answers. What it is took place. Was it a ghost ship? Was it one from Lekoto? Was it the Calcutta ship? We have to ask questions. We have to ask. Because something is not sitting right. But Keith Rowley went a photo up with some cricketer. You see, with some cricketer in some fence. You see, go to Tobago, that's a photo opportunity. But this is convenient, as we'll to use the words situational ethics. Situational ethics. Keith Rowley has a say, not seen it. Had all the answers, had all to solve the situation. And today he's flat on his face. Lennox, he hired Lawrence Farage to help him with the hanging. He rightly told him the commissioner of police name was not on the ballot. The government in office name was on the ballot. They won on the promise that they were going to solve the situation. Until they can't. And I'm going to repeat what it is Lawrence Farage said. I want to tell Erla, God was chosen as Commissioner of Police. You were. Stop harassing God. Stop harassing the man that problem you say you could have solved. You and him could have solved. He has no work to do. He has to clean up this country of all the mess that parents in. So stop doing all the job and stop interfering with the man. Stop harassing the man. Lennox, I'll be private. I'm going to the same call that you made. Women, please stop the lewd and nasty behavior. Whether it's in the fence, whether it's on the street, wherever it is. Have respect for yourself.
Commenting on
Lennox, thanks a lot and have a good night. And thanks for listening to my 2 cents.
Yes, indeed.
the
Thank
violent
you. Thank you
crime
as well.
rising that has serious social difficulties. He noted that
Thank you
interventions
for your-
are in place, which he lamented
your
may
contribution.
not be enough.
I can't recall a period of time, a matter of weeks, seeing the viciousness of crime, frequency of crime in and among family members, out on the street. I mean, it is just a while ago I made a comment that we are a violent society. And apparently there are some people who are attempting to prove that statement. True. They're losing the war against the criminal.
Yes, people. There are specific indicators, variables that has led us to where we are. Cause and effect, they call it. Started off with deception, and you did not, in due course or over time, check or did some introspection so as to avoid the proliferation and the continuation of those deceptions that you came into office with, then the only result can be and must be disaster. There is an unwritten law. Evil cannot prevail over good. And if you are dishonorable, if you are dishonest, and you are placed in honorable and expectant honest offices, the only consequence, just like oil and water, can only be dishonorableness and disaster. And that is Dr. Rowley as a person, as an individual, and his government as an institution. They have betrayed the people. They have undermined our democracy. They have subverted the electoral process, even though it is well orchestrated and well laid out in the Representation of the People's Act. And indeed in our Constitution, and therefore the relationship one to another, inclusive of the institutions that would have been created so that we have a smooth running democracy. Rowley has disrupted that by his conduct. And we have often likened his conduct to one of a criminal, but with all specificity, a robber. A robber. And we have described and characterized the relationship and the comparison already, no need for me to reiterate. But I thought it was important tonight to go back a bit because Rowley, as opposition leader, said in no uncertain terms that if a government is in office and has the responsibility of addressing the multiple issues, challenges, and expectations of the government, and in the specific case of crime and criminality, he said that when a government is in office and blames the opposition, it has lost its usefulness. Fundamental, very significant. It's a serious statement, but let's go to the lines. As I said, we have a slight delay, so you will be a bit patient tonight on this, of course, Carnival Monday night. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Once again, do not take off your phone believing that somehow you have not gotten in. You have, it's just that there's a delay on the system. So please stay on so you could get your contribution made. All right? Or listen to. So I was making the point that as opposition leader, he said, very philosophical. You hear the same thing with Heinz. We're going to play Heinz tomorrow, possibly, or Wednesday. Very philosophical. They understand the problem. And they can, of course, get into people's minds and outlay their thought patterns and say why in this case people engage in crime and so on. And momentarily, if not ludicrous and comical, they seem to forget that they were elected, whether directly or indirectly, to solve those very issues that they raise analytically. I have never seen, heard, or experienced people that are so common in their stupidity as this group of people. They will come in your face and tell you how much gangs there are. They will come and tell you how the guns come into the country. They will come and tell you those who are engaged and what are the socio-economic and psycho-cultural antecedents for them to be so engaged. And while, of course, the country is burning, like, of course, Nero, he is fiddling and fuddling, and in this case, their fuddling is they're analyzing the situation, forgetting that we give them billions of dollars at their disposal to address the problem. That is what is so despicable and unacceptable. Let's go to the line I have on my phone. Pleasant good night. Welcome.
Good night, Lennox.
Good night.
Give Donna Cox a message for me, please.
I certainly will if I can.
She cut people food card left, right, and center.
Yeah.
Careful, we go look it over her.
I hear you. I hear you. It looks as though you don't even have to go. Like Likoto has already possessed them.
This woman cut people phone card $500. People have to buy medication. They have to live. They have to travel. What they expect people to do.
Wow. Yes.
Well, give Donna Cox a message for me. We're going to look to her.
I hear you. I hear you. Thank you very much. We're going there. Hold on, caller, hold on, and you'll get through. All right, let's go. Right, let's see if we can solve that problem now. Yes, indeed. A pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor. This, of course, Carnival Monday night edition.
Hello, good night, Mr. Lennox Smith. Hello.
Good night to you. Good night to you. Hearing you loud and clear.
Hello, do you hear me clearly?
Loud and clear, yes. Loud and clear.
Nice. Well, I stay home part of the day looking at the television, watching the
Right.
I will go a little and watch, around the place a little. Carnival Monday does be more calm than Tuesday.
Yes,
but for the Carnival Mondays that I know in the past, this Carnival Monday was real spacey and it was really, really bad. I'm speaking about Arapita Avenue.
Okay.
Well, Lennox, This is the first time I had to agree on something on what the lady from Santa Cruz said concerning the dress code with these women. The big mouth bully come out real good on that, and I wouldn't go through. But I and all agree with that. Trinidad going through on that part. It's too much a boom boom in the air. Right? I watched
Yes.
Mass this morning in Rio, Brazil, and you talk about costume. It's like they decide, look, this beads and feather ain't making sense. Because you see people coming to Trinidad and even Brazil to see Mass. They're spending their money. They want to see, creativity.
Creativity,
And
yes,
when
yes.
when you come and they only seeing boom boom in the air and people whining down low, plus the locals here, the children seeing this kind of thing, it have we're tolerating that. You understand? No, I don't like to watch at them mass and things. And when I want to really watch mass, I just come out on a Saturday and watch kiddies mass. You're seeing creativity, you're seeing things, right? That's that part. Hello?
Yes, yes, I'm hearing you. Go
Another
ahead.
thing
I'm speaking with
I look
someone
at
inside here in silent.
Marshall
Go ahead.
Montano. Yes, Marshall Montano with the strong that he win. The tune to the words that he did, the words he put to that tune is one of them old Calypsonians tune. I believe it's Mighty Striker or Blakey. I have to research it to be clear. You going up in a competition like that, the master a calypso. A calypso is a person who could create a song, do the music. That is a true calypsonian. Not somebody who could just entertain. He's more entertainer. Who does help him with his music is Colonel Roberts. And every time he's sampling people's music, all them fast tune, or I should say most of them fast tune, is tunes he thief from the Dominican Republic merengue music. And calypso is not just soca, or let's say soca come from calypso. Soca is calypso and merengue mixed together and you get that beat. All right? At time he gets a big hit off of the late great Celia Cruz salsa queen. Life is a carnival, wipe Jordan. Huh? La vida es un carnaval. That was really a cruise tune, and he make a big hit out of it. He doesn't compose anything. He and Colonel Roberts, which is Kitchener's son, they get together and do all kind of experiment and thing and come up with it. So that's what he do there last night is cheating. And he mentioned Kitchener name, but he have other great Calypsonians name he didn't mention, like the Mighty Duke. Right? Duke was a famous Calypsonian who used to write and all of that. When it comes to Calypso, I know things, right? Duke is the man who wrote the song for Lord Nelson, King Liar. Is Duke wrote that song? Duke was famous. He should have mentioned Duke, not only Sparrow, the world knows Sparrow, but mention Duke. The man tune your thief Mighty Striker and sing it last night. They put words there, yeah, mentioned the Mighty Striker. He was one of the Calypsonians who sing at the Mashgra and win crown back to back. For a matter of fact, he was the first, the Mashgra king. So he ain't talk nothing yet, and the rob Gypsy, I say so. Gypsy then deserve last. So this carnival, it had a lot of things. And with your band, I find they should have come lower down. I know music, but you can't tell me about pan and all of that. Right? And
I
pan is the
realize
only
that.
thing remain nice in the carnival,
So we
the
lucky then.
panorama.
So this was lucky.
Right?
They come
So
forth.
this is what I have to say.
So that was lucky. They
This
come
was
forth.
lucky they come six, Lennox. They could have come lower down.
No, I think it's fourth
Huh?
to come. It's fourth to come.
I hear you.
I think it's fourth they came. They came up
Fourth,
fourth.
right.
Yeah, fourth.
They're
Yeah,
still
yeah.
lucky.
Yeah, because you were
Only
saying there were
because our
six.
name.
So I was surprised when I see
Only
them come
because
forth.
our name. What point to his name?
All right, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
They should
Yes,
have come lower.
yeah, yeah. Thank you very
One more
much.
thing.
Go ahead.
About the vessel in the Tobago waters. Lennox, that vessel ain't looking like no cargo vessel, you know. That
Looking like
vessel
what?
too small, boy. Something fishy. And
All
them
right.
Tobagonians who don't hear us have to feel.
Yes.
They supposed to cry out. The public not crying out. There's few people talking like Farley, etc., etc. You know, the ones on ahead, on top in the theatre, and so they talking out. But the citizens need to make up, bro. They have guest houses. This country depends on tourism, and the place too small.
That's
So they
right.
have to feel. Right?
Yes.
Okay, Lennox, have a good night.
Thank you very much. In the history, the historical antecedent of and the evolution of our calypso, and of course, well, I suppose Marshall might have learned something tonight as well on the corridor transformation, having regard to the fact that I think he's doing his masters in Carnival. I believe that there is a program at the UE where he's, of course, executing at this point in time, and he came off of it to, of course, enter this particular calypso competition with, of course, that calypso that he created. So, well, he and others, as the caller, seem to have the background to it. But let me just go to this. All right, I'm seeing him coming up on the line. Right, caller, just bear with us, and we will take your call. Just bear with us. All right, let's see how it works. All right, caller, just hold on. Yes, let me see. All right, let's see. Right, good. All right, the president, good night. Welcome to the corridor. Yes, welcome to the corridor.
Hi, Ron.
Good night.
Hi, Ron. Can you hear me?
Yes, loud and clear tonight.
Yeah. I know there's a delay. I know there's a delay. It's like you say hello, and then you say welcome.
Yes, a whole delay.
All right.
So just bear with us.
I hope my
Go ahead.
I love Miss Arima. I think her contribution is very important. And I say that because Miss Arima was right about Marshall Montano. She's right about him using other artists' lyrics and never given credit to it. And Marshall is kind of older now. He should be trying dignity and make room. But I don't know. Sometimes when you're like power, like the prime minister, you get greedy and you want to do everything, right?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Leonard?
Yes. I'm hearing about your
I feel
Marshall
like there's like
using
a car
his
screeching in the
artistic
background.
license. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so like I was saying, like Marshall Montano, right? How much money? There we go. How much money can Marshall Montano make? Like Marshall's got the chocolate, then he's got the Guru guy up there in India. Then he bring in the Namaste and all this thing to Trinidad, and credit to him for bringing yoga and all that stuff. But come on, dude, you're dressing up everything and you're commercializing everything, and make room for original artists to come in and pay you. And we got some young singers, and I hope Nisha get well with the injury that she fell off that stage. That was so dangerous. That walking on a stage and you fall down, and people were laughing. That's what Trinidadians do. We laugh when people fall, and we celebrate that. But I wanted to talk about this oil spill that is happening, and why this is so dangerous, and why isn't anybody talking about it? The Prime Minister kind of brushed it off, and Farley was, and his interview, he was very nonchalant about the whole thing. And one would question, the interviewer wanted to know why wasn't this oil spill picked up earlier? Why didn't you guys move swiftly on it? But he skirted the issue because there's no border security in this country, and it shows. Every country knows that in maritime laws, they have there's a tracking system that tracks every ship and submarine in the ocean. The United States has that technology. They know exactly who dumped that oil in Trinidad. They do. They track everything, and it's amazing how our Coast Guard couldn't 6 miles away couldn't go and pick up this thing that happened in the ocean. What were these guys doing? And now the Prime Minister says you need to build a new Coast Guard station. Why do you need a new Coast Guard station when they're not even working to secure the borders in the first place? If they were working and doing a good job, you build them a second one so you have stronger security, but there's none. I don't understand where this Prime Minister is coming from. Why he is downplaying everything. You see, he wants this country to deteriorate environmentally because all he cares about is the oil and the minerals. He don't care about the corals and the beaches. This man doesn't even go to the beach. He goes to the golf course and then he goes on a vacation. And of course, Tobago is his private resort because he's got a big house. He has his own private beach. He has his own swimming pool. He doesn't have to go anywhere else. So, but I want an oil spill to happen right in front of the Prime Minister beach there, his beachfront property, and let me see how he would react to this. He doesn't care. And when Carnival is over, we will see the consequences of COVID and the oil spill, the ramifications of this horrible spill that is happening in the coral reefs. It's going
Yes,
to
yes, yes. That
impact
is what
a lot
is
of
a
environmental marine
major
life.
concern.
And I don't think, it's going to be a long-term impact. Yeah, and nobody really cares. Everybody kind of just watching because outer sight, outer mind. But internationally, all over the globe, anybody who cares about the environment and even smart people are hearing about it, and they're like, why isn't these people acting successfully on it? They're waiting and waiting. Well, we go wait and see now because this is what this prime minister does. He lets things fall apart, and then he will blame the opposition for that oil spill. That's what he's going to do. All right, thank you, Lennox.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, of course. And that environmental issue is of deep concern. And Dr. Rowley, and they understand how the rest of the world will look at Trinidad and Tobago, not being able to have detected such a spill that has such a devastating consequence for the economy of Tobago in particular, but of course, it generates a kind of insensitivity to the environment. Let's go straight to the line.
All right, Mr. Lennox.
Yes.
I want to ask something, right? And I was now listening to the last caller. We have a vessel that came into Tobago full of oil, no name, no captain, nobody drowned, turnover, and nobody knows nothing. That bring back light to tell me when people was coming in the country when COVID-19 and the country was locked down and a sanctioned plane came in here and nobody know who the plane coming to, who the people coming to. Nobody know when they land, and then they went and to talk about COVID-19 and they didn't have the COVID-19. They didn't have the minister of health there to talk about it. Now we have a boat full of oil mashing up Tobago and nobody knows nothing.
Yes.
So it looked like we cancel the Coast Guard and them because they no use. Better we cancel everything and look for other people help to help we because that could have been a bomb, that could have been a disease, that could have been anything and nobody knows nothing. What is your view on that? I would listen off it.
Well, you see me laughing, I'm sure, because as soon as you're talking there, it reminds me of whether or not Trinidad and Tobago is a real place. Trinidad and Tobago has to be a fantasy experience or construct. Because he went on a crime talk in the United States and he didn't carry the Minister of National Security, you know. Let's go. Caller, if you're calling, just hold on. I don't know. It should come up on the system. All right. We get a delay tonight, boy. You know, every night there's some different issue. Let me take it. Let me take it here. Let me take it on the phone. I'm taking it on the phone, people. Let me take it on the phone. Professor, good night. Welcome. I'm taking you on the phone itself because I can't get you on the system. Go ahead. Hello? Hello, good night.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead.
You hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Hello.
Yes, loud and clear. Loud and clear.
All right, good. Good night, Mr. Lennox, and a good night to your listening audience.
Thank you very much.
Now, I just listened to this previous caller talk about the Coast Guard.
Yes.
I would not put any blame on the Coast Guard. The blame lies squarely with the PNM government. They do not want an efficient Coast Guard patrolling the waters of Trinidad and Tobago. Because if we have an efficient Coast Guard patrolling our waters, all the drugs and guns simply cannot come into the country. And we see Mr. Rowley saying that he had no confidence in Gary Griffith, that idiot. Now, as you well know, and all of Trinidad knows, that the police are an independent institution. The government should have no say in the operations of the police service, because a guy like Rowley should be in jail, and a man like Gary Griffith would have locked him to hell up. You see, when he went and, let's say, like that fiasco when he went to the then president, Paula Weeks, and took that meritless from her. That was an illegal act. And she was a high court judge. So she should know better than to give this idiot that you have behind your head looming. I don't know why you have that fool over your head like that in the background, but the president should have put Rowley in his place and send him back in. But she didn't do that. She handed the man the list as though, well, you know, it's somebody who does not know the law. So the bottom line is that Trinidad has to be the way it is under the PNM, because the PNM is mafia, and Rowley is akin to Al Capone, and the most wanted man in the Caribbean should be Rowley. The man is a pariah. He has done absolutely nothing for Trinidad. Now, those vessels that the UNC bought, those Damon fast patrol vessels, PNM most certainly don't want those vessels operational. What they wanted was that big stupid OPV. Those guys, that's a cruise liner. That's not a vessel for military purposes. That's a cruise liner. And Trinidadians who don't know anything, I don't know a lot, but I've listened to Anna Roberts, and I've did some research myself. The best thing that we needed for securing the water, the maritime, for maritime security in Trinidad and Tobago was those Damon vessels. Now, when Kamala talk about creating a dome, this jackass they call Rowley, he was laughing because he had no clue that she was talking about air, land, and sea. You know, securing the air, the land, all the borders. So, he being a fool that he is, he heard her say, creating a dome. Before that fool go and research to see if he could learn something, he started talking to a bunch of jackasses in the PNM, and all them fools were laughing. But then when he realized that, when she talk about, this is a military term, where you talk about creating a dome, security dome. But then he had to put his mouth and say something else. But the bottom line is that under this PNM regime, with that narcoleptic Minister of National Security or Insecurity that we have, then we have another bandit called Stuart Young. This guy should be in jail. But instead, that thing in Tobago, to me, I personally believe that that is a PNM ploy. If the Coast Guard were doing what they were supposed to do, if they were allowed, remember, they are not able to patrol because of the government's negligence. It has nothing to do with them. the leadership in Trinidad and Tobago is the government, and they are the ones responsible. He and Rowley is supposed to be the head of national security. Well, he's an idiot, so I don't know how you're going to put him in charge of any bloody thing, except maybe the PNM, where all them fools get together, drink scotch and eat strip and laugh and talk a pile of garbage. Anyway, Lennox, take care, and thank you for allowing me to make my contribution.
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Good night.
Well said, man. Well said. I'm increasingly, of course, enthused, and it deepens my optimism, tending towards certainty that the population is fully edified. There are, of course, some stragglers, those who are recalcitrant, those who are still in not necessarily a high state, but certainly a lowering state of accepting reality. Yes, indeed. Let's go straight to the lines. Let's go to the lines. Pleasant good night. Welcome to the corridor, of course, on this Carnival Monday night after, of course, Juve. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Good night, my brother.
Good night to you.
To the Honorable.
Good night.
Mr. Rima on point.
Yes, yes.
Well said, Mr. Rima. And to the gentleman that just called, I know if you didn't meet you in the block corner, we'd have still be cussing. Because Dum still pushing the bottom in him out. So you can't talk nothing good. You talking about the 14%, I believe people and them deserve. But under this present government, these people and them may deserve nothing under he. 4%, that doing anybody anything? And then the next, the Gwen talking about how much percent for the domestic boy, these people are them mad, boy. These people are them mad.
It can't be
You see that boat? That boat is sympathy, eh?
Yes. Yes, indeed. All right.
That boat that can...
Oh, my. Sorry about that, caller. I know you spent some time to come in, but I thought you were finished. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. My apology. I really sincerely realize you're going to talk about the boat. But I was going to make the point as the previous caller, and that is, of course, you have the 11 or 12 Damien vessels that they inherited. They were more concerned about, of course, going to the Netherlands, where the boats came from, to investigate something that, as usual, whether it be, of course, the highway to Point Fortin, or whether it be the hospital, the velodrome, and the aquatic center, whether it be so-called contracts just before the elections, whether it be with respect, of course, to the Education Facilities Company or EMBD. That's what they are concerned with. And all of it turned out to be exercises in futility. All of them exercise in futility. So much so that they have manufactured
where the boats came from to investigate something.
Let's go to the lines.
Good night, Lennox. How you going, boy?
Yeah, well, of course, as usual. It's Carnival.
Yeah, very good. Yeah. Good night.
All right, good night. Good night to you.
Lennox.
Yes, are you and me? Good night.
Lennox.
Yes, are you and me?
Yeah, you see that boat that capsized? The boat that capsized in Tobago. Anybody know where origin that boat come from?
I see
The reason why I'm asking this question,
they got a name. I see they have a name.
The boat capsized in Tobago and seem like they have no ownership, no captain, nobody.
Yeah, some stream.
And spilling oil in this country, and nobody can account for that.
And you understand he was faithful to Lennox. The first thing them supposed to do is to find the owner of their vessel and have them come here and spend the money. You see, Rowley and Stuart Young and them wicked, right? They leave Farley to deal with that. And it they go over Farley face because they're not dealing with it. That's a national disaster. And only today the Prime Minister come out and say that how it might be a national disaster. So he didn't know that about 3 days ago. But they're too wicked. They're leaving Farley to string out and dry so that he could get pressure. But them don't care about nobody in this country. Because if they declare they will act accordingly. From the time that boat started to spill out, that thing is a national disaster. But they're fetting and having a nice time. Then he and Stuart Young continue with their foolishness. Have a good night, Lennox.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I was making a point about the Damien vessels that were there all the time. You know, recognizing, and anything Rowley says, you have to take it with not just a spoonful or a bucketful, but a truckload of salt. He was too lackadaisical, and he was his stereotypical self in deceptive mood. And you know what that mood is. He starts to fiddle, he starts to rock from side to side, fiddle his fingers, and open up his nose and then deliver the lies. Because there are two things that he said that one has to take note of. One, he said that they recently sent the 12 Damien vessels for repair, and they're looking, of course, for a contractor to come. I think they said they are about to receive one. Why would you say that now? All the time you were saying that, of course, those OPVs was the panacea to solving the problem. And for 9 years, those vessels were there when Kamala Persad-Bissessar left office. So for 9 years, they were saying that some of them were down because they didn't have fuel. For 9 years. Of course, he will want to blame COVID, but COVID only lasted 2 years. But the fact is, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, they were there and they were not being used. Suddenly, recently, and you heard, of course, as the caller rightly said, that narcoleptic, sleepy Minister of National Insecurity. Let me repeat. Hines, National Minister of Insecurity. And then he went on, Rowley, to say, trying, of course, to either philosophize or to generate a square peg in wrong hole logical analysis as to what transpired, because nobody knows. It's mystery. Mystery. But let's go to the lines. Let's go to the lines. I'll conclude in a while. Yes, indeed. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night.
Hi, Lex.
Yes, indeed.
Yes, hi, Lennox. I wanted to make a second contribution. I wouldn't take very long, but
go ahead.
You know, you were talking about Minister Hines, right?
Yes.
And Minister Hines is in charge of national security. What is national security? National security is not local security. This man is in charge of our national security. It means that he's in charge of every corner and the border protection of this country. This guy doesn't even know about this oil spill. He has no idea what's going on. This guy is like winging it. And it begs the question, is the Prime Minister corrupted? Is the Prime Minister accepting bribes? Is the Prime Minister already purchased by somebody? We talk about the Prime Minister being loyal to the 1%. But who is really paying? Is it the that Gabriel guy that got sued by Philip Alexander? And Philip Alexander divulged that he came from a Syrian background himself. And he was treated like a dog. And that the Prime Minister does collude with all these rich people. It begs the question, does this Prime Minister, is he loyal to us? And we talk about him being evil, he's a rapist, he's this, he's that. He's still in office. he's still at the helm. So I feel like we're wasting time sometimes, Lennox, because we have to get proof that the prime minister is corrupted. You can't just be saying this, and the proof is in procurement. It's in his behavior that every time the opposition brings up a challenge, it gets knocked down in parliament. And nobody says anything. We could talk on the media, we criticize it, but I haven't heard real pundits come out there and speak intellectually and make some waves to get this man out of office. So I feel like they are all part of this system to collude and rob the masses, which are the poor voters. Because let me tell you something, billions of dollars going through this country, not just in drugs, but in guns and all kinds of ammo, because so much stuff is happening in our region and it's only going to get worse. He's not going to take us to the next level. And you see people like Minister Hines, these guys are just there to ride it out, to get a big fat pension, to buy a house in Florida, to go somewhere luxury for vacation, drink what they want, eat what they want, and fatten themselves. Meanwhile, people still living in galvanized houses. People still have no running water. The flood is a mess every year. Poverty is soaring, and these guys are getting fat, and the prime minister doesn't give a crap. So we gotta find some evidence to get this man out of office, eh? And the real evidence is in the procurement. You gotta follow that money, and they need to have financial disclosures. They're not disclosing where the wealth coming from. None of them are. And by the way, I found out that Mr. Young, Stuart Young, is a co-founder of Synergy TV. The man making millions. All
In
right.
fact,
That was my comment.
yeah,
Thanks, Anna.
yeah. I'm glad that you mentioned that. Yes, he is. And I noticed on the avenue, there was a special stage put in front of Synergy Television. I was wondering, well, how they could occupy part of the roadway, the avenue, to put up a stage in front of Synergy Television, and then of course my mind was thrown back to Balize House and the fact that they commandeered a piece, the northern piece of the Tranquility Government Secondary School to construct that monstrosity called Balize House. A conman and of course a gangster headquarters. So you see how they abuse their office, how they exploit the taxpayers and to benefit from it, and they do so without not just accountability, but it appears that without any compunction, as if they have a right to so to do. But jail will be their cause. Jail will be the outcome of that. And the population simply have to do like Tobago, where Rowley came from, and all will be all right. We have seen it, but they are in denial. That is good. The fact that they believe that they could win another election with a slim, or even slimmer majority, let them, of course, wallow in their complacency and in their illusion and delusion. And let them, of course, among themselves, say how well they have been doing. While, of course, the 1.5 million, except that small group, are seeing it differently. That is a good strategy. You see, in warfare, the element of surprise usually wins a war. You don't want the enemy to know all your ammunition and all your manpower strength and all the soldiers that you have and all of the high-powered, or should I say creative or ingenious war equipment that you may have created. So that is why you have, of course, the secrecy of technology as far as, of course, vessels are concerned, as far as, of course, submarine, and, of course, the use of modern technology, including, of course, radar and other types of support for logistics in order, of course, to win a war or to execute a war in your favor. So let them wallow in their complacency and in their delusions. Whether it be narcoleptic hinds, it appears that all of them are subjected, of course, to that sleepy scenario. Rip Van Winkle. And when they get up, they find themselves in collective and individual matters before the criminal justice system and that of the civil justice system as well, as Kamla Prasad Bisesa and the UNC and whatever configuration they would have come up with, must, as a priority, address that particular problem, and the process of relegating the PNM as an institution to the dustbin of political history in this country must be well on its way. Must be well on its way. And as I was saying earlier, Rowley has this tendency from the beginning of deception and deflecting attention to others. And as I've always said, UNC or Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Rowley and them will have invented one. And this, what is to be played now, is a classic example of how Rowley, when he was in opposition, said that if a government has to criticize the opposition in order to justify its existence, then it has come to the twilight, to the terminus, to the end of their existence, or they are of no use to the population that they purport to serve. Yes, that's what he said. Listen to him now. Early in the game, when he had, of course, to pay people who earned their monies, public servants, but he didn't want to give them any. That's the first sign. I talk about 2016 or the ending of 2015 when he first came into office. Listen to him.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley warns that there could be job losses in the public service. He blames former Prime Minister Kamla Prasad Bisesa for being reckless to give public servants a pay increase of 14% in 2015. At the PNM's public meeting in Mount Dore, the Prime Minister recalled that in 2015, when energy prices were at an all-time low, the country only earned $2 billion from energy revenues. But in an attempt to win votes, Prasad Bisesa gave public servants a 14% increase. The Prime Minister said it was now left up to the PNM government to honor that contract.
We paid, what, $3 billion this year in back pay? And as we're looking towards 2017, he tells...
Before we go there, peaceable, reckless, Neanderthal, a caveman. You know, when he tried to go to the parliament and invent 3 seats for Tobago, and when in that subsequent budget, he almost legoed a third of the budget of that year in Tobago. It was not for election purposes. No, it was not for election purposes. That criminal, that rapscallion, that evil, despotic, wicked and nasty individual.
We owe $3.5 to $4 billion more in back pay. And that's a contract between the government and its workers. It's a contract. And the people who are contracted in that way to get his back pay, they're coming outside the Prime Minister's office every week and they're shouting at me in case I have it in my pocket to give them. Well, let me tell them tonight, many of you who enjoy that back pay, who's shouting for that back pay, you may get the back pay and lose your job. You may get the back pay and lose your job. You may get the back pay and lose your job. And that would be a gift from Kamala.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley warns that there
Let's
could be
say it
job
again.
losses
Let's say
in
it
the
again.
public service. He blames former Prime Minister Kamala Persad-Bissessar for being reckless to give public servants a pay increase of 14% in 2015. At the PNM's public meeting in Mount Dore, the Prime Minister recalled 2015 when energy prices were at an all-time low. The country only earned $2 billion from energy revenues. But in an attempt to win votes, Persad-Bissessar gave public servants a 14% increase. The Prime Minister said it was now left up to the PNM government to honor that contract.
We paid, what, $3 billion this year in back pay? And as we're looking towards 2017, he tells me we owe $3.5 to $4 billion more in back pay. And that's a contract between the government and its workers. It's a contract. And the people who are contracted in that way to get his back pay, they're coming outside the Prime Minister's office every week and they're shouting at me in case I have it in my pocket to give them. Well, let me tell them tonight, many of you who enjoy that back pay, who's shouting for that back pay, you may get the back pay and lose your job. You may get the back pay and lose your job. You may get the back pay and lose your job. And that would be a gift from Kamala Persad-Bissessar.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley warns that
a total madman.
Come, have to go. I ready to go. I ready to go. I ready to go. The jail.
Yes, indeed. You ready to go to jail? You ready to go to jail? Talking jail.
If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. Come, I ready to go. If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. I ready to go. I ready to go to jail. If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. Come, I ready to go. If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. I ready to go. I ready to go to jail. If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. Come, I ready to go. If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. I ready to go. I ready to go to jail.
Yes, indeed. A pleasant good night. Welcome. Sorry about the delay, but you have to. But I'm sure that you get it just by now. Good night. Yes. Good night. Yes.
If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. Come, I ready to go. If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. I ready to go. I ready to go to jail.
In jail. Because everybody don't want to mash him up.
He's a coward, you know. Yes. Go ahead.
If I have to go to jail, come, I ready to go. Come, I ready to go. If I have to go to jail,
yes.
Come, I ready to go. I ready to go. I ready to go to jail.
Nobody else lost their work. But now look what happens in 2015 now. 20 entities closed down. Literature closed down. One of the biggest foreign exchange, you know. And they'll come down on them.
Yes, boy. Yeah. Sorry about that. Gosh, boy. Sorry about that, boy. It's just one thing after the next. But of course, I'm not surprised because of the activities during the course of the carnival. I'm sure that people want to get in communicate with us. So the system might have been overloaded, and we have to depend on our external sources. Not we don't have control over that aspect of it. So my apology if things are not as clear as we would like in terms of time, because there's a delay. And but we continue, of course, to do what we have to do on this night, having regard. But of course, Rowley is so obnoxious. He is so, should I say, self-conceited, so egotistic, that we have grown accustomed to him saying one thing and meaning something totally different. We have seen him over and over too often not just concerned, but to understand that is how the cookie crumbles, and dishonesty is part and parcel of his makeup. He is simply a wicked man. He is simply ugly internally and externally. Because that is the man who said that he liked journalists, but only when they root and they pronounce his agenda. As soon as he doesn't get it his way, he goes berserk. And he, in the same breath, will simply tell you that he is an adorer of course, journalists, and that he likes these people. But of course, when things have not gone his way, he then, of course, talks something different. But let me just look for that clip. I'm looking for the clip in the interim, but let's see if we can replace it for the time being with this one.
Commenting on the recent instances of violent crime, Prime Minister Rowley questioned the thought processes of the perpetrators of such crime, summarizing that this country has serious social difficulties. He noted that interventions are in place, which he lamented may not be enough.
I can't recall a period of time, a matter of weeks, seeing the viciousness of crime, frequency of crime in and among family members, out on the street. I mean, it is just a while ago I made a comment that we are a violent society, and apparently there are some people who are attempting to prove that statement true. You're losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. And to be able, the time has come for us to declare violence as a public health emergency. For us to declare violence as a public health emergency. I want to call on the bishop, to call on his colleagues to assume a greater responsibility in calling on the national community, especially parents, to take responsibility for their progeny.
Unless we enlist the help of God, we will be working in vain. Unless we enlist the help of God, we will be working in vain.
We are losing a significant portion of our young people. You're losing the war against the criminal element, but you hold the government accountable, and the government must be held accountable. Many young people today are suffering from the existence of the vacuum, understanding that there is good and that there is evil, that there is truth and there is falsehood, that there is ambition and there is lack of ambition, and that there is respect and disrespect. The behavior in the national community is deteriorating and deteriorating rapidly, because nothing useful is filling the vacuum that is left. Or approach east, want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. Or approach east, want to talk about party elites and meet them outside on the pavement. The behavior in the national community is deteriorating and deteriorating rapidly because nothing useful is filling the vacuum that is left. See these boots I'm wearing? We, the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit kickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. You see these boots I'm wearing? We, the farmers of Tobago and Texas, we call them shit kickers, right? And I'm hoping that I'll meet Dr. Munilal today, but I haven't met him so far. The behavior in the national community is deteriorating and deteriorating rapidly because nothing useful is filling the vacuum that is left. You call on the Prime Minister to do something about crime. I'm not in your bedroom, I'm not in your choice of men. The behavior in the national community is deteriorating and deteriorating rapidly because nothing useful is filling the vacuum that is left. There isn't a news item in this country where there isn't a good chance that a major part of the news is who killed who. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do. Country is awash in blood. We're taking the advice from you, the people. And when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do. You know what to do.
Your vote will decide our destiny. Your vote will decide.
When you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do.
Our country's fate. Move and use it well before it's too late.
When you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do.
For them out, they go Martin West. For them out, they go Martin East. For them out, San Fernando West. St. Anne's West, Boys Bay North. For them out, for them out, for them out, for them out, for them out.
BNM is this
when you have had enough of what we have done, you know exactly what to do.
Home of them big liars, big thieves of millions of dollars. Don't trust none of them. Them is the real problem. They're doing me what they want, so let me vote of them. We not voting them fucking PNM. We not voting
when
them fucking PNM.
Of what we have done, you know exactly what to do.
Kingston, living high, dictatorship style, putting tears in the poor people's eyes. We not voting them fucking PNM. We not voting them fucking PNM.
For them out, they go Martin West. For them out, they go Martin East. For them out, San Fernando West. St. Anne's West, Boys Bay North. For them out, for them out, for them out, for them out, for them out.
This is 40 years I've been in politics. 40 years. 40 years later, you're telling me about changing my approach to speaking to people in Tobago? If after 40 years then change, you change now? 40 years later, you're telling me about changing my approach to speaking to people in Tobago? If after 40 years then change, you change now? But
this was no act of God. This was no act of God or mere unlucky accident. All the money that has been expended on the process so far, much more is almost certain to be spent before the families will see a single dime or dollar in compensation.
The Commission of Inquiry, he said, cost a total of $15.5 million.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. To the Honourable Prime Minister, given that the final report of the Commission of Inquiry into the Paria tragedy recommended that in this fatality, without accepting liability, will the Prime Minister state if the government has considered offering compensation either through Paria or other avenues to the affected families on behalf of the state?
Even though Paria is a state-owned entity, The government is not now in a position to override those situations.
Is the Honourable Prime Minister suggesting that any attempt to assist those families by way of compensation and financial help will only or can only be considered after a protracted legal process emanating from the report of the Commission of Inquiry?
To be improper for me to take any position.
Do you feel it's, my question?
This was no act of God. This was no act of God or mere unlucky accident. This was no act of God.
With violent murders occurring daily and the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service reporting 30 murders already for the first 19 days of 2024, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley said crime is a priority for his government as he revealed his crime plan.
In those communities that you will see named in the very near future, I will instruct the Minister of Finance to identify immediately $100 million to go inside those communities and do what is not being done, because criminals in there have taken control of those streets and those houses and are making it difficult for government services to go in there and give some people an opportunity for a decent life.
Dr. Rowley shared the details.
The money that we'll make available, as I'm describing here, will be made available to the Defense Force leadership to retain and to hire reserve officers or retired officers and recruits to go into those communities and ensure that what has to be built is built, where security has to be on the street is there, and where people can rely on them and not on the local don who believes that they're somehow bigger than the government.
The Prime Minister said criminals in this country have easy access to guns and ammunition, and Minister of National Security Fitzgerald Hines shared some gun statistics.
In 2019, I think COVID slowed down a little bit, 2,720, but in 2020, ladies and gentlemen, 64,553.
You don't have to be born in Trinidad to know what it's like when a government betrays the people that elected it. This government is so dishonest that it shut down all of the agencies that give statistics on its own progress. They don't want you to know how bad the situation is. But the Moody's rate.
Why does God allow evil to exist? Free will and moral responsibility. The existence of evil is the gift of free will that God has given to humanity, good and evil. Throughout the Bible, we see that human choices and actions have consequences, both positive and negative. Galatians 6:7-8. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Testing and refining of faith. The presence of evil and suffering can serve as a means of testing and refining our faith. In James 1:2-4, it is written, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Difficulties can lead to spiritual growth, character development, and a deepening reliance on God. God's ultimate plan. Although evil exists in the present world, God has a redemptive plan to ultimately Romans 8:28 assures us that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God can use even the darkest circumstances for his purposes. Why does God allow evil to exist? Free will and moral responsibility. The existence of evil is the gift of free will that God has given to humanity. With free will comes the capacity to choose between good and evil. Throughout the Bible, we see that human choices and actions have consequences, both positive and negative. Galatians 6:7-8. Do not be deceived. God cannot be mocked. A man reaps what he sows. Whoever sows to please their flesh, from the flesh will reap destruction. Whoever sows to please the Spirit, from the Spirit will reap eternal life. Testing and refining of faith. The presence of evil and suffering can serve as a means of testing and refining our faith. In James 1:2-4, it is written, "Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance. Let perseverance finish its work so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything." Difficulties can lead to spiritual growth, character development, and a deepening reliance on God. God's ultimate plan. Although evil exists in the present world, God has a redemptive plan to ultimately overcome evil and restore all things. Romans 8:28 assures us that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God can use
I see hate. Mr. Speaker, I see bitterness. Mr. Speaker, I see acrimony. Mr. Speaker, I see animosity. And Mr. Speaker, I see a man completely out of control. Completely out of control, Mr. Speaker. That since 1987, argue your case. Everybody has a chance to do it. But not like my good friend. The minute you oppose my good friend, Mr. Speaker, the minute you oppose my good friend, he gets very, very angry. And if you oppose him strongly, Mr. Speaker, he becomes a raging bull. And that is what this government is not prepared to act. That is what it was. We just were not prepared to accept that. I went to the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago in August 2003. As a Minister of Government in Trinidad and Tobago, a PNM Minister, and told him that there was bid rigging taking place in Udicott.
Let perseverance finish its work.
Yes, indeed. A pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Pleasant good night. Yes.
You hear the crowd all over show. You hear the crowd all over show when the blind man was talking.
Yeah.
You hear how they was getting up the blind man was talking.
Yeah.
When he was just prophesizing what they go fight, what they go get.
That's right, exactly.
And furthermore, you remember the Bible. Remember the Bible, right? They had to pick between Jesus and Barabbas. They pick. Same thing happened
In Trinidad, they pick Barabbas here to run the country, and look what they're getting now. Have a good night.
Yes, I remember in one of the interviews with Julian Rogers, Rowley said, I only hope that they choose me as Barabbas. That time we didn't know much about him. We know all about him. He blasted Barabbas. And you know, I must say, as a standard and stationary and what I consider to be irrefutable component of this program, Rowley and pedophile. Is a blasted rapist and pedophile. You're coward. You are hollow. And you suffer from acute doses of inferiority complex. Only for her to call himself Prime Minister every minute. Never expected to be a Prime Minister. Never expected to be a Prime Minister. Let me take this one on the phone. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Pleasant good night. Welcome. Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
You preach some powerful sermons here tonight, boy.
Yes. It's important, man. At this time.
Now, according to what we know, what God sure know, Jesus Christ died to save everybody. So if these fellas betrayed Jesus, betrayed we, they betrayed Jesus too. But this power will like, if Jesus landed in the morning, what did they go try to do? What they go try to do, Lennox? If Jesus Christ is anyone, will you?
They will say that is not him, it's them.
They might try to, Jesus could kill him.
That's right. They say that is not him. That is fake.
Because the fleet is so powerful.
That's right.
But like you say, evil has only survived for a while, you know.
That's right, exactly. Mussolini.
Can't be built.
Yes.
Forever.
Hitler. Yes.
So if they feel they're more powerful than God, boy, there's something really wrong with them, you know.
Yes, indeed.
The next thing I want to tell you is they have some problem with boats and the PLM, you know. Right? You listen? In the 1818 situation,
Yes, go ahead. Yes.
when we was waiting for the voting for Robinson to deliver,
Yeah.
between Pandey and Manning. When he say, he get to Manning. Both with Desmond brought up in Manzanilla. Then I set a cocaine at our shop in Maruga.
Yeah.
Now, if on that Pandey they get in on that, because nobody couldn't get that cocaine.
That's right.
Right? Now, the barrier, you see that a ship capsized too. And all the people come out and they say what? They had no connection with barrier. Right? Just so, like if anybody and nobody has them not. Now this thing with this boat and this oil in Tobago. PLM have something with boats and the PLM. The next thing when I go in the studio next week, because I know you're going to KP. When the president started to preach, he said, they must preach the gospel and the balize. Twice she said that, or 3 times. Then she changed it to the gospel and the PNM. So I want to know what's the relationship between the gospel and the balize and the PNM. What gospel and balize have in common? You go check out that and let me know later.
I certainly will. I certainly will. What I know for sure is that the PNM and crime and criminality and murders have an intrinsic connection. Once the PNM is in government, we catch it our ass, aunt, nenen, and everything else. Yes. So that's what I know for sure.
And
right?
you know because the boy say I'm going to call him so about Pali. They're going to put the boy last.
Yes. But I'm showing you, once they're in office, you can expect disaster. I am sure that people's minds have been permanently changed to doing the right thing in their own best interest. And come the next elections, I expect an overwhelming victory for the UNC and, of course, whatever competition.
Because we don't agree already, nobody can pull like you. Use the man.
I hear you. I hear you, my friend. All right, yes, yes, indeed. Yes, people, of course, well, we have come to we are nearing the end of tonight's exercise. But I cannot end, of course, by telling you, of course, how pleased I am to, of course, have been regaled, frankly, with contributions, persons wanted to help to train people. One fella called me, and I'll get the Ministry of Works to provide the transportation to collect chairs, over 50 chairs in a warehouse, table and desks and so on. Of course, we have not yet gotten the computer amount that we would like, but we have already, I think, about 3 or 4 computers. So we must set up, of course, a computer information technology based, but I consider to be employment bureau, so that we can match skills with, of course, employers that need the skills that these people have, and it doesn't matter where they come from. We will not accept that they are from Laventille or Beetham or Sealats or Nelson Street or George Street, and that discriminatory psychology is used to prevent them. They could be as good as what, they could be as competitive as what, and because they're from there, we are going to monitor that, but we will also monitor their behavior as well, so that when we certify that that person is good to join your establishment under the conditions that you have set out for employees, and they will come and do their work on time and work for an honest day's pay, as you expect them to provide an honest day's work. But you know, I like to, of course, do things in all practicality. And I like to say, of course, the veracity of what I'm saying cannot be questioned. Well, I want to tell you that at one point in time, QRC, CIC, Fatima couldn't beat us in cricket at all when we established, of course, the MLIO program in Fernandez Compound several moons ago. Yeah. We participated, of course, in the secondary school cricket competition. These fellas, but what we told them, when time for prize giving, they don't want to come because the environment, you had to go to Hilton or you had to go to K-Park or hotel. And because they are not accustomed with that ambience, with that environment, and with the kind of course, cuisine, we had to motivate them to go. Because, of course, what we told them, the fact that you have beaten them at one level, you must take full credit for it, because you will be the future West Indian and Trinbagonian, of course, players as far as cricket is concerned. And we told them, on the other hand, most likely, these fellas from QRC, Fatima, and CIC will be the future bankers, the future businessmen, the future pilots, the future doctors. And so most likely, if all things goes right. And therefore, you must remind them whenever you meet them, when you all would have left, of course, your educational institution and have terminated, of course, your edification or your qualification, acquisition, who are degrees, but you may be, of course, a mechanic, most likely, or a carpenter, or yes, or a seamstress or a hairdresser. But the fact that you were able, of course, to beat them in cricket. But more than that, at prize given time, you must take note as to your opponents, because it's most likely, this is a small society, that when you go to the hospital, you may see the fellow who you were, of course, playing cricket with, and then you could remind him that, of course, MLIO, right in Laventil and so on, beat all in so and so, yeah. So take note. In other words, generate the network that is important to get you along. You are not an island unto yourself. And you do not, of course, recluse yourself. Or you do not, of course, isolate yourself. But you need, of course, because this is an interdependent world. Yes, that is what we teach them. So that while, of course, these fellas may be, of course, regretting, of course, the licks that they get from MLIO's team, but then in QRC and so on, the fact that you get an opportunity to fraternize and make friends, you must do so and try to have it, of course, into your adult life and whatever area of operation and or vocation that you would eventually settle upon. You must be able, and just as so, the fella who played cricket with you from CIC may have his vehicle to fix, and he sees you, and you remind him that all they played cricket together. You understand the synergy. You understand the coming together. And you understand the symbiotic relationship that you can now develop as you move through the society and as you grow and as you get better and better and better, and you have friends like these to help you out. If you go to the bank and you have a business that you want, of course, to get funded. And the fellow you played cricket with, and you could remind him, listen, we played cricket together, etc. That is an introduction of invaluable, you know what I say? Of invaluable quality. You can't pay for that. So that is why we try at every opportunity at programs like these. That's why we bring in the ambassadors. That's why we bring in, of course, persons of international repute and regional repute. You expose them to quality experiences. I remember very emotionally when, of course, the president, Hassan Ali, came to a graduation and gave out certificates right in that dusty and humid warehouse shell that we had at Fernandez. And these young people say, but I just only see them on TV. And here they are. And we will tell them, you'll pardon my emotions, but you see, when I remember these things and what is possible with these young people, and Rowley and them saying that they are no good and they are gangs and that borderlines, etc. I know, I've been there. I know. Just as Jesus came out of Nazareth and they said nothing good could come out there, I know there are good youths that could come out from among the very ones that they're saying that they have overlooked. And Rowley, of course, put in $100 million now, and of course I'm talking a kind of hogwash and belligerence and of course all kind of toxic language, without understanding the socio-economic and psycho-cultural realities of this place and these places, and that they are citizens as well, potential and existing. But let me give you an example. I told you about the guy that went, of course, to the United Kingdom, and he's now a pilot in the Air Force in that country. Well, let me give you now Marlon Blacks, who ended up, he was playing with them, and he ended up, of course, on the West Indies team. And I think he has completed his career playing, of course, county cricket in England. Look at him.
So he's hitting that to wide mid-on. He's going to round it, looking for runs, which is fair enough. He's been in a long time. That's what it does to you. Slow, low pitch.
That's Marlon Blacks.
In tandem. Yes, it did come back a fraction. But
came from MLIO right in Laventon there.
It's not the sort of delivery at that pace that you
playing for the West Indies
to miss.
That is what we are talking about. That's the faith we must have in this fashion. In our young people. I don't
he's hitting that to wide
let them let them loose to their own devices. You have to control and you have to lead.
In a long time.
But you lead in a particular way with respect, dignity,
slow, low pitch,
capacity to take place. Marlon Blacks came from MLIO. Look him there, playing for the West Indies.
That you expect to miss.
That's the young man.
But now the game's on.
That is the potential we are talking about, people. So when we move to George Street, immediately the very presence
fair enough. He's been in a long time.
Is motivation that somebody cares about them.
Slow, low pitch.
So I am not
in tandem. Yes, it did
in any way
fraction, but I've got to say that's well
anyway
pitched up and
will relent or in any way
sort of delivery at
offended or in any way
expect to miss.
Pessimistic.
But now the game's
Marlon
on.
Blacks.
Captain of
he
India
came from MLI, the very program that, of course, Rowley and they never wanted to assist.
That to wide mid-on.
From Manning come right back.
Looking for runs.
And we're going to be talking a lot about Rowley's approach because, as I told you, I sent him a 1,000-page document on how to treat with these communities. When he started in 2015, never responded. And when he ended his first term, he never responded. Well, whether he take it personally or not, I am saying to him, the money that we, the people, own, you cannot take it as if it's yours and say you're serving the public.
Looking for runs, which is fair enough.
Whether I call you a rapist or not, you can't take it personal, and I'll give you some personal experiences of persons who are in office right now, including Rowley, that take the resources of the country personally. And when I show up, all right,
Captain of India in this fashion.
They become personal and grata.
So he's hitting that to wide mid-on.
But that does not stop
looking for
the
runs,
fact
which
that
is fair
as
enough.
citizens
In a long time.
and as one understanding the problem,
slow, low pitch.
it does not take away the fact that you must, in your own, of course, limited capacity and resource, to do what is right. And so this very program is my own resources.
Captain of India in.
Because I have something to say and share.
So he's hitting that to wide
and as we
mid-on,
go to other places, replicate what we are doing in George Street into other communities across the country, we will demonstrate to Rowley and Days that they are damn asses, and by that time they should be out of office because we were able, of course, to come from the rear and with very little resources and the billions that they spent over the last 9 years and cannot solve the blasted problem of these communities, when in fact it is so damn simple to do. The fact is that they are too self-serving and selfish and egotistic, and therefore total dunderheads and nincompoops that are at the helm of our affairs and care only about their avarice, greedy disposition to fund it with our money, with their friends and family, and of course acquaintances, and who they prefer rather. We must take none of that, and then they must find themselves in jail. You understand why the sacrifice is so great for us to make certain that they get out of office.
Looking for runs, which is fair enough. He's been in a long time.
So that is Marlon Black's.
That's what it does to you.
A product of MLIO, the Mobile Laboratory Improvement Organization, the organization that I founded.
That's well pitched up, and it's not the sort of delivery at that pace that you
back in 1984.
But now the game's on. Captain of India in this fashion.
Back in 1984, people.
So he's hitting that.
That's what we are talking about.
He's around it.
Progress after progress, they can say what they want. None of them had that kind of record. They don't come and talk to a fellow like me to get that kind of experience. Otherwise, Trinidad and Tobago is not a real place. Yes, indeed.
So the treasury broke and they say that recession jamming. So foreign countries really start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talk it nonsense. But the majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing it's that is our. So our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try. Just a little harder. If we just get one more try, it would be much sweeter. So the treasury broke and they say that recession jamming. So foreign countries really start migrating. They lose faith in the country, they say we gone down the drain. They say no more could we see happy times again. But the will to recover in my people like have confidence. Although many may seem to feel that I talking nonsense, but the majority of we decide we're not going to run, because now is the time to show we patriotism. For we country facing is that is sour, so our people need us today more than ever. But in our fight to recover, if ever you feel to surrender, it have one little thing that I want you always remember. We could make it if we try. Just a little hard.
Yes, indeed, we can make it if we try. Just a little harder. And that is what this is all about. So those of you who still can make a contribution, we will appreciate. We will appreciate. We move, of course, from Wednesday. I will be moving, of course, from the old studio and office to George Street. And, of course, we still have the same issues of electricity, water, and accommodation and so on. But we are getting there slowly but surely. So call my assistant at 336-6594, 336-6594. And, of course, whatever contribution or pledge you can make, we'll appreciate. But let me, of course, read you, of course, an invitation to a particular celebration of love for God, family, self, and country. Yes, indeed, of course, enjoy a unique experience, a live show, dancing DJ Lyndon. Yes, El Carmen Street, Arima, at El Carmen Street, Arima. So all you Arimanians and in close proximity and beyond, you have a date, of course, with this particular fundraiser. The Arima Broadcasting Network presents, of course, Love and Unity, Valentine's Day itself, yes, February 14th. So 2 days away, February 14th, from, of course, 6 p.m., a celebration of love, of God, family, self, and country. Enjoy a unique experience, a live show, a dancing DJ, Lyndon, of course, 34 El Carmen Street, Arima. Don't forget that. Take a note. Valentine's night or evening from 6 p.m. Take a note. 34 El Carmen Street. So the, of course, the flyer is on the screen. And then, of course, international recording artists Limo Love. Of course, the sweet songs from our very own Alicial. Yes, Alicial. Yes, Alicial. And of course, come and enjoy an evening of elegance, it says. Come and enjoy an evening of elegance with, of course, the Arima Broadcasting Network, and of course their Love and the Unity Valentine's Day presentation on February the 14th from 6 p.m. And don't forget, of course, the address in Arima, 34 El Carmen Street, Arima. 34 El Carmen Street. We have some more of this that we will be sharing with you, but I think we have run out of time. It's already 31 minutes past, so we have gone over. We started on time, but I know when you come and you tune into the corridor transfer, that, of course, is very difficult to constrain ourselves to the time that we need to exit. But that being as it may, I expect that I'm going to announce it again tomorrow, but of course, take a note. Again, it's in Arima. It is on Valentine's Day. Of course, that is on the 14th from 6 at 34 El Carmen Street, Arima. And you will be, of course, well entertained. And, of course, international recording artists, etc., will be in attendance. So, of course, that being as it may, who knows, you might well see me there as well. Once, of course, I could get back in time for 8 o'clock. Once I could do that. If not, well, I'll have to pass that one. So that is the end of tonight's exercise. That marks the end. Of course, have a wonderful rest of the night. Don't forget, of course, do not overdo tomorrow. The final day for the Merry Monarch. And, of course, as our external correspondents told you, that, of course, Ash Wednesday is a significant day for the Christian community. And as she rightly said, that Carnival is supposed to be a period not as lewd and not as naked and not as what I consider to be licentious, sexually immoral, licentious, or indeed to walk the streets without shame and in disgrace, so as to disgrace the female species of the human race. But of course, we have to be careful about what our children see, because they are copycats and they will believe it. That's the norm. That's the norm. And therefore, what we say to you is be careful, be conscious. And don't forget, of course, the disease of crime and the disease of COVID is out there. So be very, very circumspect. Be very careful. So, of course, maybe we can end with Marshall again and that splendid performance that he gave, but some people apparently don't like it. So I will have to, of course, try to change what I had carded, because I want everybody to like what I have to present. So we'll have to go, of course, conservative, so to speak. And so I'll have to revert to what is considered to be normal, the beaten and treaded path, hackneyed and pedestrian. Yes, indeed. Let's go straight, of course, to maybe a medley. Yes, a medley that, of course, we all are familiar with. Yes, indeed. So there we have it. Carnival is in the air, and why not? Yes, Carnival is in the air, and why not? Why am I not getting it? Why am I not getting it? Where are you? Where's the music? Where's the music?
Popcorn in the article, I'm representing for I am restricted to that coming.
Up, everybody, hands gone up, and up, up and up, up and up. When you see we, hands gone up and up, up and up, up and up. The press go flatten for this. Threaten this what all we know. The place will tear up for this. Threaten this what all we know. Anger you and police. Mash up is what all we know. Boom, anywhere, any venue, anywhere all we go. Boom, hands up like fitness. Show the world, make everybody witness. On the road with a band that big, and the girls waistline just gifted. One drinks, we know what people business. And if I put them out now quick. Around here, we don't support no mischief. Cause it's party time, we can't miss this. Boom, no stress how we say, but we want rum. Up in here, they beg we to chill while we calm down. Up in here, we not going to live till it's all done. Up in here, find a girl and jump cause we want one.
And do like that. Let me see you do like that. Big bite, you like that. Let me see you do like that. Back then, do like that. Let me see you do like that. Big bite, see you do. Girl, take the walk, give me a jam. Pull on your waist, the whip me hand. It's 2 away, inside a back. It's orderly, that is the plan. Girl, I love your habit, I love your habit. Girl, I know you have it, I love your habit. Do this, then do like that. Let me see you do like that. Big bike, you like that. Let me see you do like that. Then do like that. Let me see you do like that. Big bike, you like that. Let me see you do like that.
The way the woman whining like a vein busting in me head. Oh, Tane, me love the way you whine it. Yeah, take the pressure, give me piece of that before I day. Oh, Tane, wait, I want another wine. Now I'm so bad, boy. Now I'm so bad, boy. Now I'm so bad, boy. Now I'm so bad. I want another wine. Now I'm so bad, boy. Now I'm so bad, boy. Now I'm so bad, boy. Now I'm so bad. So long, girl, out there watching the way your bumper shaking. I don't mind approaching. Me love how your bam bam talking. Now I got your attention. Can I ask a question? Tell me if your man are wrong. Well, I want to